in Orchard Park. So to go to Foxborough and deliver that type of performance, and for Josh Allen to be the best player on the field, I mean, that changes everything, because I think it is a boost of adrenaline in their season and confidence and the understanding that, yes, we are still the best team in the AFC East. We are a credible Super Bowl contender. And so much of it goes back to Isaiah McKenzie, who stepped up huge with Cole Beasley on the COVID-19 list. But at the center of everything is Allen. He made play after play after play. And that last drive, Monday, the game-sealing drive, he made big throws. He made a huge run on 4th and short. And then he took him into the end zone and put a dagger through the heart of the Patriots. That was so impressive.
Yeah, you know what Josh Allen is?
What?
He's a one-man party. He's a one-man party.
I can tell you doing I can picture you doing these bits for your daughters, and they're
That's
like,
right.
Dad,
oh, yeah.
You're the worst.
Dad annoys the heck out of the daughters, but Josh Allen is warming the hearts in the cold temperatures of Buffalo. The last three following the Pats' wind game, not win, but wind, 800-plus passing yards and 8 touchdowns, 197 rush yards and a rush TD. I believe he is firmly back in the MVP conversation because he may be more important to his team than any other player in the NFL to carve up a Bill Belichick defense with the division on the line for over 300, 3 touchdowns, no picks, another 60 on the ground. They got the Jets and Falcons. They could win out. They could be the 2 seed. They could be the 1 seed.
Flying.
It is all back. I was out on the Bills for a minute. My apologies. I am so back in after watching what he's able to do and how important that type of talent is at that particular
I never quit on you,
position.
Bills.
That
guy did.
I did. Let's go to the flip side and the team that lost, and a team that we were both, specifically me, very excited about over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and that defense and how it's let up a little bit here these last 2 weeks. Where are we at with the Pats?
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots they were the team where we were like, okay, all these other defenses that are supposed to be great, they get exposed every once in a while and they come back down to earth. But the Patriots weren't supposed to be that way. They were supposed to be bulletproof. That proved not to be the case against the Bills. Matthew Judon, another addition now to the COVID-19 list. He's been quiet the last few weeks, and without him making big plays, they come back a bit. And now it makes you think, with the defense coming back to earth, is the offense good enough? I mean, I thought it was glaring that game. 2 otherwise pretty evenly matched team. One has Josh Allen, one has Mac Jones, and that's the difference ultimately.
Well, look, I mean, we've talked about, and at least, I don't want to rope you into this since we've been proven wrong here, but, I talked about the Patriots defense being the best unit of any unit in the NFL. That has not been the case as of late, and you always hear the cliche defense wins championships. Well, not if you're playing an explosive offense and your offense is severely limited. 145 yards, 2 picks versus the Bills. He's got 4 interceptions his last 2 games. I am worried about a defense that was doing Mac Jones favors and giving this rookie shutouts, 4 points per game, allowing 6 points or something. That makes it easy. Now, when you got the pressure on and you got to start making plays and you're throwing balls like that into triple coverage, that's an issue.
Well, that's the last throw of the
I know. You know what I'm saying.
In general, he didn't seem up to the task.
But here's what I'm getting at.
Go ahead.
They play as it stands right now, they would play the Bengals in the first round of the playoffs. Talking about an offense with Joe Burrow, and I know I'm going to do the name thing, but you got to try to slow down Joe Mixon. The Bengals have a top 5 rush defense, so is Damian Harris going to be effective? Like you said, it's the last throw of the game, but if you're asking Mac Jones to push the ball downfield, get out of his comfort zone, because you got to try to keep pace with Chase and Boyd and Higgins and Mixon and Burrow, I don't know how that plays, no matter how good we think this defense has been in the past. I think you're going to have to get a little more out of that offense for us to feel more comfortable about him.
Yeah, and everybody wanted to make the Mac Jones-Tom Brady parallel. I'm not going there. I never went there. But I'll say this. Tom Brady, as a passer, improved as he got older with increased training and age. Like Mac Jones, his arm strength is an issue, especially playing in that division. So that needs to improve. And my last overall thought about the Pats I wonder, after these last 2 weeks, losses to the Colts and Bills, if they're a very good team that's just a step below the top teams.
2 playoff teams. 2 teams that we have a lot of confidence in. You know what? Speaking of the Colts, a team that clearly you have a lot of confidence in, considering where you have them ranked at number 5, despite them being a wild card team right now.
Yeah, the Titans fans are still upset about this.
But, we'll get to that in a minute.
I want to talk about what Carson Wentz did in that final touchdown drive on Saturday, on Christmas night, against the Cardinals. The throws that he made, moving this ball down the field, that is a money throw right there to Michael Pittman. Now he rolls to his right, keeps his eyes downfield, throws a beautiful strike to T.Y. Hilton, and now this is one of my favorite throws of the year. On shotgun, he rolls to the left, pops his hips, keeps his eyes downfield, and then hits Patman with the game ender. Now that guy, that's 2017 Carson Wentz. And if you combine that version of Carson Wentz with the rest of this Colts team, given they're healthy and have their players on the field, this is a Super Bowl winning level team. So, and then people say, well, no, Carson Wentz, you can't trust him. And I get that. But quarterbacks get hot sometimes in January. Eli Manning did it. Nick Foles did it. Joe Flacco did it. Carson Wentz can do it too.
So, as you regularly promote your Around the NFL podcast, on here, how often does Carson Wentz get any support on your podcast?
I'm just
when they made the trade. So here's what I'm getting at. This is a shout out and a tip of the cap to great coaching, to Frank Reich, to that staff, to Chris Ballard, their general manager. Because let's not forget, a team starts 0-3. Oh boy, you're going to lose your first-round pick to the Eagles, you know. If you, and then they're 1-4. Right. Well, now you really got to start thinking about sitting Carson Wentz because you don't want to lose your first-round pick to the. And then they get swept by the Titans, and it's a couple bad interceptions in those tight games by Carson Wentz. Well, maybe you ought to just sit him down. Frank Reich never flinched.
Nope.
Not once. And then you get into this Cardinals game, and, you know, we always talk about identity and how you can tell teams that are, you know, that you believe in, that can win a Super Bowl, are ones that have defined identities. Their identity is their offensive line. And you go down 4 of 5 starters against a really good defense, a front with Chandler Jones, and you don't flinch. Now, did they get outplayed maybe between the 20s? Yeah, maybe. You can argue that. They executed better in the red zone just slightly, and Matt Prater did the Cardinals no favors. But to me, this is a testament to having leadership that is consistent, that players know what they're going to get, that players believe in because he believes in them. And, like, to me, Frank Reich, there are a million Coach of the Year candidates out there, but, man, Frank Reich has got to be in that conversation for not giving a darn about all the noise outside that you're going to lose this valuable first-round pick if you keep playing Carson Wentz. You can't do it. And he did. Just put his head down. I know this guy, believe in this guy, and look where they're at now. No one wants to see this team in the postseason.
No, and speaking of the Around the NFL podcast, my colleague Greg Rosenthal has a theory that there's a handful of coaches who really matter on a positive side. There's a handful of coaches that are really bad that kill you on the other side, and then there's a big middle. I think Reich is in that group of 100%. Guys that are an absolute difference-making head coaches. And one last Carson Wentz note, I have to say. Not a vaccinated player. Keep an eye on that right now as guys are dropping off the face of the earth with this disease.
Let's go. Let's wrap Cowboys, because clearly you put up over 50 against the Washington football team on Sunday Night Football, and it bears acknowledgement.
Yeah, I mean, when the Cowboys,
you got them behind the Colts.
When the Cowboys are in full flight, they are really a force of intimidation, a team of intimidation. And I think you have to look at where Washington was in this game and the fact that they were starting a quarterback at Taylor Heineke, who Chris Collinsworth said on the NBC telecast wasn't even able to carry his laundry basket, and now he's playing against this team.
That's funny.
But that's not funny.
Steal touchdown. Tackle eligible.
The Cowboys are a team. I have them obviously where I have them. I think they're a true Super Bowl contender. And Dak Prescott balling out, that was the missing piece. Now they are in full flight.
Well, you lead me right to it. Dak Prescott, previous 3 versus this. Now, look, when it comes to Prescott, it was a long December. But now there's reason to believe that maybe these final 3 will be better than the last 3. As you see, 13 through 15, 222, 3-3, and a passer rating of 78. This one, now granted, Kellen Moore drew it up perfectly. No linebackers out there, attacked the middle of the field relentlessly. But let's watch these last 2. If this is the Dak Prescott we're going to get against capable opponents with that defense. And look, just quickly, because I've done too much of this and we got to go. But when your offense is down and your defense can carry you to wins, 3 straight wins, when your offense is not, that's the sign of a great team. Hey, our offense is not playing well. Oh, no worries. We'll just win on defense. And if the defense lets you down, oh, don't worry. Dak and this crew of pass catchers is going to dominate. That's exciting for Cowboys fans and the Cowboys going into the postseason.
Are you ready for the critical reevaluation of Counting Crows in their catalog, specifically their first 3 albums?
Can we get some B-roll so I can bump out of this?
Maybe
from a guy who ranked the greatest live songs of all time. When we return, our curator of calculus will check in to carve up Dan's numerical notation, Cynthia Freeland, on whether or not the Titans are too high, too low, or not likely, just right.
Let's turn it up now. You know what it is, man. It's all about us. Game time. You keep making those plays, I'm just going to throw it up to you every time. Stay ahead and take. Keep playing smart. Keep playing physical, one at a time. Nice to open the game like that. Keep running. Let's go. Yes. Let's go right here. Let's get it. We got to dominate those. Come on. Big play. Slide.
And here's a look at your second quadrant of power rankings posted now at NFL.com. 9 through 16, headlined by the Cincinnati Bengals, who take over control of the AFC North and move up a spot in the playoff standings into the AFC playoff picture. A lot of really good teams, but also a lot of question marks. So let's get to the new year number theory nuggets and power moves presented by Energizer. We bring in our Cynthia Freeland. Cynthia, why don't you get us started? The Bengals come in at number 9. Your thoughts on where Cincinnati currently sits?
Okay, so I'm not one to split hairs. Actually, I totally am. But there are 8 divisions in the National Football League, and the Bengals are going to win one. So how on earth are they 9? They should at least be 8, if not higher, right? Because look at this, what they've done actually on defense. We already know how good their offense is. You've seen Joe Burrow just be ridiculous. But Trey Hendrickson quietly, or maybe not so quietly to opposing quarterbacks, leads the league in pressures, and that's a big deal. So let's be honest, they got the kind of both sides handled here. And winning that division, they should at least be 8, Dan Hansis. I mean, 9 is way off. You're way off.
That's not how I do things, Cynthia. Respect the process, please. It's not the power standings. It's the power rankings. And let me just say this about the Bengals.
Please.
And I'm into the Bengals, too. I think we're all into Cincinnati.
100%.
They're a fun team.
You know what I think of the Bengals, Dan?
But
I can't get it.
Let's save that for the C Block Money. That's the New Year's segment. What I think about the Bengals, they're a lot of fun. Joe Burrow's a lot of fun. The defense is surging. However, Sandy, when's the last time we got excited about the Bengals? Was it after another back-to-back victory situation against the Vegas and Pittsburgh? Then they get whipped by L.A., the Chargers. They lose in overtime to the Niners. Now they've won 2 more games against middling opponents. Let's see what happens against the Chiefs in Cleveland to finish the season.
You know what?
I just want to say, everybody protect themselves, because the Bengals have showed us before that they're an AFC North team in the end, which means they're fine, not great.
Here's my problem, you see. It's just not the future power rankings. Every time we get into a situation with a team like the Bengals, what do you say? You know what? I'm taking a wait-and-see approach because they're going to play the Chiefs. No. In the moment, right now, with this explosive offense,
I'm sorry, is it your byline on top of the power rankings?
Guys, make some noise. I'm tired of you saying I want to see what they do against the Chiefs. This is one of the most explosive offenses. They're top 5 against the run, and they're 3rd in pass rush rate and sacks. Respect the process of what the defense is doing on the field. I'm with you, Cynthia.
By the way, they're a top 10 team in the NFL. I must really hate the Bengals.
It's a disgrace that they're at number 9 and not at number 8.
The disgrace is the party favor you chose to use as a weapon.
Get it to home.
And it failed.
Killing me. All right, Cynthia, let's get to another division leader and the number 2 ranked team in the AFC. Your thoughts on the Titans at 11?
11? I mean, look, let's be honest. What is this Titans team? Are they going to get Derrick Henry back? Is it going to be consistent? I like their defensive front. I think adding Zach Cunningham was awesome, but I don't know what I'm looking at here. Who's going to be playing? We saw what happened. They needed A.J. Brown, obviously, but I'm very confused. So I don't really know what I'm looking at with this team. Obviously, they're winning the division, so I think that you probably have them just about right in terms of ranking, but I don't know if they're going down or up here. I'm very confused. Listen, I don't have to make sense. This doesn't need to make sense.
They got you.
There it is, math versus the legal profession. Your precedent is poor in this presentation, Cynthia. You can't say the Bengals have to be higher, and then the Titans are too high. You can't do it.
I'm just saying, I don't know. That one's confusing because I don't know what team I'm looking at.
Okay, that's cool. And I think number 11 maybe speaks to that a little bit, Cynthia, too, that they are a team that struggled for so long. It almost felt like watching that game on Thursday night that it was like, oh, welcome back, Titans. You're in the NFL again. Because they had seemed to be
muscly on wide receiver.
They had just disappeared from the mix. And A.J. Brown, obviously, a huge factor. And I just think that that's such a confidence builder, that comeback victory, that with Derrick Henry maybe back as soon as next week, all of a sudden it's like they're back in the picture. I'm in on the Titans.
I'm tired of the disrespect paid to the Titans. They have one of the most dominant interior linemen in the league in Jeffrey Simmons. They have one of the best safeties in Kevin Byard. I know in between those two there's some question marks. However, I like teams with an identity. I like teams that you know what you're going to get when they step on the field, and by goodness, they're either going to win or they're going to lose that way. And this team has continued to run the ball effectively without Derrick Henry, and to me, the big absence in their struggles when they hit their low was no A.J. Brown. You saw him out there, muscling dudes, tossing guys all over the place, and I think that breeds confidence for Ryan Tannehill. Right now, they're the number 2 team. I mean, it's not like the Chiefs have a cakewalk to finish up the season. This could be the team that ends up getting the bye in the AFC playoff picture. And to use precedent from our math maven over there, as she ignored it, you're going to have a team that's currently number 2 in the AFC and hosting the number 7 wildcard team at number 11. It doesn't work for me, Cynthia.
I would be much better off if their roster were their actual roster, their actual players is awesome. But who's even playing every week? I just saw Bud Dupree go on the COVID list. Who's even playing?
C-block money.
I got it.
You made the noise.
All right, Cynthia, so you're a little confused. You're a little confused about the Titans. I'm a little confused about the 49ers, the team that
lost to the Titans.
That lost to the Titans. And I don't know what the machine with the blinking red light in the boudoir has to say about Trey Lance potentially entering the picture. Because how about that? That would be a little funky if this guy enters the picture and all of a sudden the lid blows off this offense. That would be a nice little wrinkle to an already weird season.
I mean, that would definitely be interesting, but I think this team makes the playoffs mostly because if you look at the NFC, there's like kind of 3 more things that need to be decided, but it seems like it's going to be the Eagles and the Niners here, especially after the Saints loss on Monday Night Football. But I don't know what we're going to see from them. I do know that they have a really good defense, and I do know that those rushing schemes, even if it's with Deebo Samuel or if it's with a running back, they do work for this team. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see how they do it, but we'll see them in the playoffs. We'll see them come later January.
I completely agree. You got to have game wreckers. We've talked about it.
The D-block money.
I can't help myself. You can't.
You put a prop in front of money.
You can't give me props. You can't do it.
Cynthia, do you have any props? Why don't we just go all in?
There we go. See? Yes, join the party, Cynthia. Absolutely. Join the party, and I think we're all in the 49ers party. We've said it repeatedly. You got Nick Bosa on the edge. You got George Kittle at tight end, Deebo Samuel running the ball and catching the ball. I'm doing the name salad right now. But again, when you look at the bottom end when you look at the back end of the wild card picture, what team would you rather have in the 6 or 7 spot that's not in the playoffs right now than the Niners? I think we'd all agree.
All love the Niners because we love the idea of the Niners and Kyle Shanahan. But at the same time, it's like they are 8-7 for a reason. They've been an up and down entity. So I don't know. So I think sometimes the football cognoscenti likes to make a bigger thing of the Niners than they actually are. I said it. I've said my piece.
Hey, Cynthia, tip of the cap on the ability to pull out the prop. All right. Well done. Happy New Year to you. More New Year's celebration to come. Here it is. Now I got to wait till the D block? This is not going to happen.
I have to take these away from you.
Third quadrant, 17 through 24. A lot of red arrows in there. However, Falcons still alive at 7-8.
Kind of.
Broncos sort of still alive as well. All right, when we return, the pushback of players and a coach, we double down on Dan detractors and determine
too many
if it's over for a pair of teams that picked the wrong time to take on water.
He's still wearing the hat, people.
And a celebration of Jalen Waddle. Back here on Power Rankings, presented by the long-lasting power of Energizer. Here it is, a 9 through 16 quadrant as a reminder of where the Cardinals now reside. Down 5 spots, one of our biggest movers of the week. You also have the Chargers in there. So let's focus here at the start, Dan, on those two. Look at me when I'm talking.
Still got the prop, huh?
Why not? You
That's
said
for
C-block.
the D block.
2022 is almost here. But let's talk negativity. Oh, this 3-game slide for the Cardinals, who were number 1 in your power rankings for quite a few weeks. They now slip all the way to number 10 after this loss to the Colts, who, again, if you missed the news, Carson Wentz on the COVID-19 reserve list, which means he will not be playing Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders. But let's shift from that and focus on the Cards and what you see moving forward for Arizona.
I mean, they were 7-0. Now they're 10-5. And there is frustration mounting. You could sense it with this team. Their inability to get things going on offense is something that's really stood out to me since the bye week, since Kyler Murray got back and DeAndre Hopkins came back. And the idea then was like, oh, they did so well with Colt McCoy. Now watch what happens. Hopkins disappears. He has the knee injury. And Kyler, I mean, this is going to be a big final 2 games of the year for Murray because this feels like a team that's peaked, Money, and yet when you have a special quarterback, he can change a lot of things, and he could put a team on his back. Is Kyler Murray that guy? We're going to find out.
So, well, first let's look at Kyler Murray, right, and kind of what's going on right now with him versus what we saw when he was arguably the MVP favorite, in this 7-1 run. You see the completion percentage ridiculous, nearly 300 yards per game, a passer rating north of 110. Well, now in December, 1-3, 4 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. He struggled. They've struggled in the red zone, but I guess my issue is Matt Prater crushed them, just crushed them with all those missed kicks. So how much do I want to put into a loss versus a very good team in which it felt like pretty much they were the better team out on the field with one exception: bad coaching, bad kicking, and they failed to execute on critical plays. Here's the parallel I'll quickly draw, though. The Steelers of last year, when they were undefeated. They were the last remaining undefeated team, and so many of us in the media, right here on this Power Ranking show, were just kind of going, just doesn't pass the smell test. It's hard to get invested. And you said repeatedly, it's not the power standings, it's the power rankings. That's why the Steelers aren't my number 1 team. And look what happened in the playoffs. So, as I kind of regularly do, talk out of both sides of my mouth. So while I want to have faith in the Cardinals, I think about them as a wild card team going up against either the Packers, the Rams, the Cowboys, or the Bucks. I don't think they're winning any of those games, which is a team that gets bounced in the first round of the playoffs despite being number 1 in the power rankings for a good chunk of the year.
And now some schedule bad luck because the Cowboys are one of the hottest teams in football, coming off a massacre of Washington. So this really is going to be such a test. It'll be interesting to see how they fight back here.
All right, let's shift to another bad loss. Now, the Cardinals lost to a very good team. The Chargers lost to one of the worst teams in football, and they didn't just lose. They got run off the field in Houston against the Texans, Dan.
Yeah, and, you're the voice of the Chargers, so I'm curious your take on this. But I find myself with what we do here with the power rankings trying to make sense of a team coming up small in Week 16. Usually you kind of bury them in the rankings and say, all right, they're a pretender. But, with no Mike Williams, with no Austin Eckler, with no Joey Bosa, with Derwin James out with an injury, is this real? Did they come up small, or is this a team when they don't have their most important players isn't a very good team? So you got to kind of balance that stuff, and that's where I'm at. I'm kind of like in a hold on the Chargers, all because of where we are with COVID-19.
Yeah. So look, the Texans were down 4/5 of their offensive line. They were down 3/4 of their defensive line. So to me, I don't.
Cooks.
And Brandon Cooks, who had 114 targets. The next wide receiver in line had 44. So that's what they were missing. Now, watch this. Is it a big highlight? No. It's the first field goal of the game. This is one of my issues. This was a bring your own energy game. There were maybe 20,000 people there. There's a ton of people out due to reserve designations.
Right.
This is not a team that kicks field goals. They go for it on 4th down, and you don't have Derwin James out there. You don't have Joey Bosa out there. They felt flat. after those first 2 drives resulted in field goals. The offense didn't have the juice I was used to seeing. And then you got a defense who is decimated in the secondary. And they've done a great job of filling in for injuries or guys that have been out, save one position group, the secondary. And Davis Mills carved them up. I mean, cut them to ribbons in this game. And you're talking about they were down to Isang Bassi, who was just signed on Thursday, out there for meaningful snaps getting torched. So I think that's a major issue watching their final 2 games. Can they make the playoffs? Sure. They've got Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler and Joey Bosa and Derwin James if they're out on that field. But if they're not, the depth has been an issue. And I'm afraid that this loss to the Texans is what very well may lead to their demise. All right, let's get positive. Hold on. How about winning 7 games straight? 7 games straight. Regardless of opponent for the Dolphins, if they win the final 2, will be in the postseason picture. Your thoughts on a victory on Monday Night Football? Ugly game, by the way, over the Saints.
Ugly game. Poor Ian Book. I guess some people can now buy into the Dolphins. I've moved them up to number 12. They're the first team ever to lose 7 straight and win 7 straight in the same year. That is an achievement. But I have to tell you this, I'm relieved that they now have a tough closing schedule because I'm kind of sick of watching them beat up on bad teams and undermanned teams. And what is wrong with you, Matt Money Smith?
That's for the Dolphins.
What happened to you?
Huh?
What happened to you?
I'm excited about the Dolphins.
Why?
They were 1-7.
Okay.
This doesn't happen. 1-7, and now they are 8. They followed up a 7-game losing streak with a 7-game.
Give me the signature win during this winning streak.
Don't care.
Give it to me.
But how about winning 7 games in a row after losing 7 games in a row?
There is something to be said in
That's
our
what I'm
league. Troy Aikman is known to say for winning, beating bad teams and being able to do it every week. So they absolutely deserve credit for that. They have a great defense. They are well coached.
Jalen Waddle.
But I don't need to be.
Jalen Waddle.
I love Jalen Waddle.
There's
a great
magic
rookie.
between he and Tua.
Tua is not magic. I'm sorry.
Between those two, they are.
You could look at the standings and say 7-game winning streak and tell me the Dolphins are special. I don't buy it. You're free to.
Here's my retort to that.
I think that means I win.
You can only play the games on your schedule. That's all you can do. And how
that's fine.
How many teams have we seen mail it in after going 1-7?
They deserve credit. They're not special.
They won 7 straight.
You shall see.
Many of them right here. Mailed it in after a rough start. Oh,
these are all the teams that they beat in the past 7 weeks.
Our head coach was a jerk. Mail it in. 2-13. The Jets 4-11. That was a nice run by Zach
Honestly,
Wilson,
how many of the teams that the Dolphins beat are on this list right here?
All of them. When we return,
the Ravens.
Finally, we get to our New Year's celebration segment. The AFC North, all 4 teams still alive, and we will make a case for each to get out with the AFC North crown. Come on, Dan, join me in celebration for this next segment.
I'm ready for the D block. Let's do it.
Woo! Oh, there it is, the fireworks. Our AFC playoff picture. You see the Bengals there at 9-6, but look at the in the hunt category. Ravens 8-7, Steelers 7-1, the Browns 7-8. And now for our let's leave 2021 behind and look toward 2022. We make a case.
What? Wait a second.
Yes.
You're wearing this stupid stuff.
Yes.
All through the top of the show.
I'm over it.
Now when the block's here.
I'm over it.
You hang me out to dry in the biggest of all spots.
I just kind of feel like it's run its course. That's just me, though. But hey, you look great.
You're literally the worst.
What are we going to do? We love the Bengals. They are. No, keep it on. You look great. I really love what you're doing there. I'm just over it. I felt like I just kind of, I tired it out. Where was I at? Oh, there you go. Throw the beads. We love the Bengals. They are currently in the lead in the AFC North. You see them right there in the 3 spot. However, all still in the hunt. Dan, get us started as to why the Ravens still have a chance to salvage their season and win the AFC North.
See, this is hard because the Ravens, watching them on Sunday, look at this. What a situation here. When you look at the Ravens on Sunday against the Bengals, that looked like a team where the walls finally caved in. Missing 33 players to either COVID-19 or injured reserve, IR. However, you still do have Lamar Jackson, and when he does come back from that ankle injury, you have to bank on special player makes special play and saves a season. That's the best I could do, Money, because otherwise this seems like a team that's endured simply too much, but Lamar is special. He's back, baby.
I couldn't hold off. I get too excited about props. Steelers.
All right, how about the Steelers?
Here we go. Mike Tomlin, you hear it all the time, and I'm not a big fan of historical stats, but this one I am. His teams don't finish under 500. They never have, and I think that speaks to the pride of Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin getting the most out of his players, no matter the circumstances. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Doesn't matter who's out with injury. The Steelers play hard. They're coming off a humiliating loss to the Chiefs. And how about this, Dan?
Yeah.
Who are their final 2 opponents? The Browns and the Ravens. Oh, I'm looking at their ledger here. They've already beaten the Browns 15-10. They've already beaten the Ravens 20-19. So all they have to do is beat 2 teams that they've already defeated this season, and they could end up atop the AFC North.
I mean, Money, you're above that. You're above the.
What do you mean?
Well, they'll finish strong because they've always finished strong in the past. Well, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't a dinosaur at the level he is now.
But then I backed that up with they've already beaten the Ravens and Browns this year.
Okay,
right?
But when you watch, and you're watching the games too, this is the worst team in the division.
They've already beaten them.
I know, but
okay,
right
so let's
now,
make a case
where
for
we
the
are
Browns.
right now,
Let's make a case for the Browns.
The Browns you can make a case for because they have still a really good roster. I know they have been decimated by COVID and various injuries, but when you put it together, I think their roster is better than these other teams. Now,
100%.
There's another part of this.
100% there, Dan. 100%.
There's another part of this. Kevin Stefanski needs to wear it. They lost at Lambeau Field because their head coach went mad and put his faith in Baker Mayfield instead of Nick Chubb on that final drive.
100%.
Be smart.
100%, Dan.
Trust Chubb. Trust the offensive line. Have Baker be a complimentary player. Win 2 games. Go to the dance.
They'll have the best players on the field in each of these games.
Maybe.
They will have, let's just say they have Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, and that offensive line. You give me that offense with a healthy offensive line, Bitonio, Teller, Shredder back at the interior, and you run Chubb, and you have Myles Garrett on the other side, and I can see it. I can see it, Cleveland.
Hat change.
I can see it, Pittsburgh. Lamar Jackson cheat code. I can see it, Baltimore. But I can also see it, Cincinnati, because you got Joe Burrow. Oh, look, here's my Joe Burrow smoking a cigar after winning the national championship. Here I am, Joe Burrow.
The worst show on television, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what? Our man Kringer puts it perfectly. Everything we do on Power Rankings is meaningless.
Well,
a lot of people upset this week because their teams are in or out of the playoffs. We're going to have more of these tweets.
Talk to your God, Kringer.
Play NFL Knockout, free-to-play game presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Answer 15 questions about the Browns-Steelers game to win exclusive prizes, including a VIP package to this year's Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles. Go ahead and visit NFL.com/knockout. Go ahead, pop open your camera and tap that thing there. It's too late now. Constructive criticism. Our man Dan Hanzus has to wear it. Dan Zeus through his mentions, which is why he stays out of them. No, he doesn't. He pays close attention, like this one from our man Scott from the Gamers Dome. They're having a decent run right now, but ranking the Colts. And again, Carson Wentz out for Sunday's game against the Raiders. Above the Dallas Cowboys pretty much shreds any credibility your list has. It's not because I'm a Cowboys fan, but rather because I have two working eyeballs. That's clever.
But you are a Cowboys fan, so you're unable to see why any team would not be better than your team. This is very standard sycophant fanboy stuff. I'm done with this guy. What's next?
I think he makes a pretty good point.
Oh, whatever.
Cowboys get home games.
I don't care.
The fun aunt. Oh, Dan. How does the brain?
Oh, you're an aunt guy.
Sometimes aunt, sometimes aunt.
Guy.
It just depends. I don't know.
Okay.
Green Bay limped to a win. Should have been a blowout. KC dominated. What should have been a contest? Why aren't the Chiefs #1 from @vintage KC fan?
All right, well, that's an interesting question.
How close are they?
They're close,
okay.
And I think the Packers have to be careful here because they're letting these teams hang around. I don't think they're quite good enough to do that every week. They need to close out these games better. The Chiefs are surging. It's pretty close between 1 and 2 right now.
I've said it repeatedly. There's no style points in 2021 in the NFL. Just win games.
That's fair.
Cranky Jays fan. How dare you put X team ahead of Y team because Y team beat X team earlier, and I'm a big fan of Y team, and it makes me angry.
That is the experience of the power rankings ranker. Thank you, Cranky Jay. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to everybody. Oh, did I hear Happy New Year? Doubling down on the Steelers. We're going to make our way through a 4-pack of teams when we put 2 minutes on the clock, and then we will issue a pair of challenges to whom? The football gods. Gods, pick up your phone. It's Dan calling.
Yeah, we need you right now, gods. Where are you?
All right, time for speed to power. Back on Power Rankings presented by the long-lasting power of Energizer. You know what that means, Dan? As I've still got my challenge flag in my hand because I'm ready for that, too, as soon as we get done with speed to power. But 2 minutes on the clock, we get rolling, and you start with the Packers, #1.
Did you notice at the end of the win on Christmas, Aaron Rodgers told Aaron Andrews that Rasul Douglas, the cornerback signed off the practice squad of Arizona in October, has changed our defense, changed our team. An all-time pickup midseason. Did he compliment Brian Gutekunst there?
I think he did.
I think that counts as a compliment.
did.
Brian Gutekunst. Aaron Rodgers, I think you're starting to realize you have a very good thing there, and the GM has played a major role. How about money to Kansas City Chiefs?
Could be the number one team. I think you can make a very compelling case. They should be the number one team. If I'm pushing back on power rankings, they've won 8 in a row, and now their offense has scored 48, 34, 36 points in their last 3 against good competition, particularly the last 2. That was a heck of a Thursday nighter where they gutted it out and got the win in Los Angeles, and then they just decimate a Steelers defense that has been pretty good this year. Yeah, the offense has been bad, but they carved up that defense. Love the Chiefs. I think they very well could be your number one team next week.
Could be.
All right, let's go to the Eagles.
I hesitate to really buy in on the Eagles. I know they're in right now. They took care of business after getting booed out of their own building in the first half against the Giants. Jalen Hurts is the guy to keep an eye on here because his passing, I don't know if it's good enough right now for them to make a playoff run. And the other thing to keep an eye on is his running. In the 2 games since he's been back after that ankle sprain, he is not even running at all. And you take that element out of his game, he becomes a middling player to me. Finally, money the Raiders.
Look, for all the issues they had early, the breaks are going their way, and sometimes that's what you need. They end up getting the Browns with pretty much their entire team out. They get a win. They get the Broncos without Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. They get that win. Now they're going to get the Colts without Carson Wentz.
Unreal.
And then after that, they're going to get a Chargers team that clearly has been crushed by a lot of these COVID reserve designations. So I won't be surprised if they end up 10-7 and in the playoffs because things just broke their way.
This is one of the strangest seasons in recent memory overall, and the Raiders are like a microcosm.
Right.
The peaks and valleys.
Oh, yeah.
Absurd.
All right, let's get to our challenge flags. Dan, you'll be challenging what or who or how or why?
I don't know who they are. I don't know how many there are, but the football gods, I challenge thee to do Ian Book a solid. Give him a cool moment to be named later because he was put into an impossible situation on Monday night. He was the 3rd quarterback in line to play. He has to play in prime time with no experience as a rookie out of Notre Dame, a 4th-round pick, and the Dolphins' defense just went hunting. So, football gods down the line, doesn't have to be this year. Give him a special NFL moment, maybe a couple to make up for the beating he took on Monday.
You know what? I'm going to stick with that particular contest and also make a plea to the football gods. Football.
Oh, no, he fumbled.
I was waiting for my single.
The football gods.
Please don't do this to us to close out the Monday Night Football season. We had back-to-back games. It was 17-3 before that stupid touchdown of Justin Fields. And then it was really 16 total offensive points because one was a pick 6 last night. You see what the Steelers offense looks like. We got Steelers and Browns to close out our Monday Night Football schedule.
Could be spicy.
Please, let there be offense. Let Big Ben bathe in a fountain of youth. Let Kevin Stefanski make some of that brilliant, good-looking, square-jawed offensive magic and give us points. Let us close out the Monday Night Football season.
You know, the Manning brothers know what they're doing, by the way. They've disappeared from the Monday night slate just in time, it seems. But I like a good AFC North all-in-the-line game.
There's a couple things I'd like to close with, Dan, if you don't mind. And then also, hey, thanks for watching us in 2021, everyone.
Happy New Year, buddy.